calling me. And I want to take this platform or use this opportunity to greet your listeners. And then Happy New Year once again.
Well, and many, many happy returns we pray for. Let's start first with the matter of the food prices. And I'm sure you listened to Dr. Alasa Indriso as he went through the data one after the other. Food prices seem to be generally doing better. Do you see that as the biggest thing for when it comes to the matter of inflation?
Yes, it is. Thank you very much, and I think it is important for us to note that the basket of goods that are used for calculation of food consumer price index, which is the inflation, include food and non-alcoholic beverages, and the weight for food and non-alcoholic beverages is 43%. So what it means is that as a consumer, your expenditure, 43% of your expenditure goes into food and non-alcoholic beverages. And in terms of calculating the inflation, it is important to note that if the food inflation is going down, it is a very positive note for every Ghanaian as compared to other basket of commodities that are used for calculation of food inflation. For instance, housing and utility, the weight is 10%, transport is 10%, clothing and footwear is 8%, education is 7%, and then alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages is 4%. And even the communication, which these days most of us depend solely on, is just 4%. So what it suggests is that the food and non-alcoholic beverages, which has the highest weight, is critical for every consumer. And therefore, if food inflation is going down, it is very good for the country, because chunk of our money or chunk of our disposable income is spent on food commodities. So for the past 1 year, if you look at December 2024, food inflation was 27.8%. And when you come to January 2025, food inflation was 28.3%. And from 28.3% in January 2025, it has reduced to 3.9% in January 2026. This means that the rate at which the prices of goods, especially food, it increases is very low, and it has actually gone on a downward trend to 3.9%. And this is positive news for the country.
Are we able to tell exactly what is driving this, especially in the matter of food? Do you know where that positive trend is coming from?
Yeah, so the positive trend, when you look at the component of food inflation, it is both the locally produced food and the imported food. So, and when you look at the general consumer price index, the aggregate, the locally produced commodities inflation is around 4.5% for January 2026. And then for imported is 2.0%. So what it means is that imported goods are even more cheaper. And what is driving this? Number one, it is as a result of the good rains we have witnessed in 2025. And it is important to note that every farmer will testify that the country, especially for this year and for last year, we witnessed a very good rain and farmers were able to get bumper harvest. That is number one. Number two, it is we need to note that since the Mahama government came to power, they implemented what we call Feed Ghana program. And the Feed Ghana program, they subsidized fertilizer, and fertilizer was distributed to farmers, especially farmers who were asked to form cooperatives. And those who were able to form the cooperatives were able to get some fertilizer, and this fertilizer was used to apply to crops, and we were able to get good yield. So the Feed Ghana program also contributed to the bumper harvest, thereby making the food prices to reduce. The third reason is the exchange rate stabilization. In fact, for the past 1 year, we have noted that the exchange rate has been stable, and it has even, the CD has appreciated from 15% to now around 10 point something percent. So almost a third of the exchange rate has been, has been taken care of, and therefore the prices of imported goods are now cheaper, and this is why even the imported inflation for the imported goods are lower. In January is 2.0%, as compared to last year, January 2025, the imported goods inflation was 25.4%, but now it's 2.0%. So exchange rate stabilization or appreciation of the CD has contributed to the low prices of food. The last point, which is the 4 point, which has contributed to the reduction in the food prices, is also about the monetary policy. And the current government is applying what we call the Taylor's rule in economics. And what is Taylor's rule? Taylor's rule is about the central bank adjusting the monetary policy to drive the exchange rate, the interest rate down. And we know that since this government came to power in December 2024, the monetary policy was around 23.8%. Now, as I speak to you now, the July monetary policy rate in 2025 was 12.5%. So the reduction in the monetary policy has contributed to some reduction in interest rate, and especially the big time farmers, some companies are able to take loan and expand their investment, their production, especially the agro processing companies. So these are the 4 main points that has contributed to the reduction in the food inflation.
So for the sake of emphasis, you're talking about good rain for farmers. You're talking about government policy. You focus on Feed Ghana. You also talk about the exchange rates and also, of course, monetary policy and falling interest or policy rates that is driving interest rates down for those farmers who need loans. But in essence, because there are many people, and this majority of the time comes from the MPP. They keep suggesting that even though you are shouting inflation is falling, many Ghanaians are not feeling, prices are not falling with inflation, that they expect prices to have things to have been cheaper. How do you respond to that?
Okay, so I think from the perspective, when you go to the market, you might think that the prices are not falling. There's difference between inflation and the low prices. Now, inflation is about the speed at which the prices are falling. The speed, underline the word, the speed at which the prices are falling. So basically, when you go to the market and you buy commodities, the speed compared to January 2025, compare the January 2026 prices to January 2025 prices. The speed at which the price has reduced is tremendous. And it is important to note that you might think you are not feeling it, but when you take your pen and you calculate, just for yesterday, I was looking at the price, the fuel I used to buy in my car. I used to buy no less than 700, 800 fuel in my car for a week. Today, when I go to the fueling station, I'm able to buy fuel around 400 Ghana cedis and use it for a week. So from 700 to 400, well, how much have I saved? At least I've saved about 300 Ghana cedis per week. Similarly, if you go to the market now, there are rice that was sold around 600 Ghana cedis per 25 kg. But now, you can get it around 400 Ghana cedis, some even 350 Ghana cedis, which means you will have saved 200 Ghana cedis. So it is very bizarre for some people to say that, the prices are not falling and they are not feeling it. Maybe the extent of which you were thinking the prices will fall is what you are contending with, but not that the prices are not falling. The price of commodities, especially food prices, have gone down. Just last week, a farmer from Northeast region called me. We did some project and went and did some interviews for him. And we even developed a business model for him to get some support from NGOs. And this farmer, Alaji, he told me that he has about over 10,000 bags of rice. And last 2 years, a bag of rice was around 600, 700. Now they want people to even buy at 400, they are not getting. So the price of this is maybe people's preferences.
I see. And we also realized that when the government statistician, Dr. Alhassan Idrisu, was going to the data, some of the food also recorded negative inflation rates, some as much as over minus 50%. What does it mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, so I think it means that the prices has reduced over 100% as compared to maybe last year. So for instance, if you are getting negative, the prices, if last year the price of, let's say, a commodity was around 1,000 Ghana cedis, and it has reduced to 400 Ghana cedis or 450 Ghana cedis. It means that it has reduced over 100%, and therefore you'll be getting negative inflation. And it is true, when you go to the market, in fact, farmers are crying. Just look at 2 days ago, what is happening at the cocoa sector. Okay, but cocoa is a commodity that we don't actually consume, so we cannot use that as a measure. But commodities that we consume, such as rice, especially locally produced rice, such as maize. Farmers have produced maize, they cannot get market. Beans, if you go to if you go to market, I have one of my students who completed and is working at Fimbisi and was telling me that he bought over 50 bags of beans last year. Up to now, he's not able to sell because the price has reduced over more than 50%. So these are the realities on the ground. And even though it is positive for the generality of the populace, but the farmers, it is a little bit bad for the farmers. So what government need to do is to design policies that will help pushing the farmers, especially the buffer stock company, for instance, to be able to mop up some of the commodities. Governments will also be able to give farmers some concessional loans with low interest rates. And the Feed Ghana program, we also want the government to be able to expand the Feed Ghana program so that more farmers can benefit from the subsidized fertilizer and some other commodities that, some other input that farmers need to produce food for us in the country coming years.
Prof, thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
All right, thank you, Senna. And then have a nice day.
You too. Professor Franklin Mabe is with the Faculty of Agric, Food and Consumer Sciences, University of Development Studies, speaking to us. Taking us to exactly 36 minutes past 8 here in the studios of Radio Gold 90.5 FM. Of course, we've been talking about the inflation trend that we've been seeing. If you look at it, inflation has been falling for quite a while now. Now, it is now at 3.8%. Question that also comes up is the trajectory. Would you continue to go down or would you rise? What will happen? How low can it go?